So how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine.
Can you tell us your role here at Shaw University?
Currently, my role here is adjunct faculty member in the Mass Communications Department here at Shaw University.
First year.
Yeah, this is my first year here at Shaw.
Thus far, you enjoying yourself?
Thus far, yeah, I am. I've taught at a variety of institutions. This is actually my 10th year, so I have a decade of teaching experience at various institutions here in the Raleigh area, and yeah, it's a good school.
Perfect. What is your concentration when it comes to teaching?
My concentration is in film and video production. My background, I got my bachelor's degree in mass communications at Winston-Salem State University, and then I got a graduate degree, my Master's of Fine Arts in film and video production from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. So that's pretty much been my focus. I'm really technically oriented, so I think that's one of the big things I was hired for. So a lot of the classes I teach focus on some sort of technological, integration as part of the instruction. So, for instance, this semester I'm teaching Media Convergence. So I'm teaching students how to shoot video and then upload, the video to the web, distribute it, via social media and whatnot. So that's where we are. Blogging, that's what I do.
What discipline methods do you use, or how do you get students involved?
Primarily, the biggest discipline method is accountability. I make all my classes very accessible, so students are able to get information about assignments from a variety of sources. Here, you all use Moodle, but I also make sure I'm available via my cell phone, email, and whatnot. So at the end of the day, if a student fails one of my courses, it's because that they have not applied themselves, and the only person that they can blame at that point is themselves. So accountability is like the first form of discipline, because I find I'm dealing with young adults, and so I try to treat all my students as that, young adults. They're not children. They have every ability to understand, how the world works, what's required of them and what they need to do to succeed. It's just up to them at this point, at the college level to take those steps to do so.
Perfect. Could you tell? We talked with a couple students, and they told us about this deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the deck of cards.
I mean, the deck of cards, is just like life. It's random. So no one, can say, "Oh, Mr. Johnson's always picking on me for an assignment," or "Mr. Johnson never ever asked me about, what's going on with my project." It's just a tool for randomization in my classes. So with my classes here at Shaw, my classes are only limited to 50 minutes or so in regard to giving you a wealth of information. And so every so often, I need to call examples from the class, and I don't want any one student feeling singled out or not just singled out but ignored in regard to the instruction that I give. And so I'll shuffle a deck of cards, and I'll pass out the cards, and I'll call them in that order. And that way, if I get to you that day, I get to you. If I don't, I don't. But no one takes things personally, because I want all students to feel like I pay an equal amount of attention to everybody.
Perfect. What have you learned that will help you in the future?
What have I learned teaching about the school?
University primarily.
Primarily, this is the first, in all honesty, this is the first Media Convergence class I've taught, because, Media Convergence is a relatively new discipline. The integration of, the internet, how it's changed, mass communications, filmmaking, as a whole. It's something that is, ongoing. It's developing. So, as an instructor, I have to gauge the performance of my students and see what's going on with them. What are they retaining, what are they having difficulty with. So within the course, it's easier for me to ascertain my progress based off of the success or failure of my students to accomplish the objectives I've set forth for them. So that's what I'm taking away, from what I've taught thus far is the ability to understand how to disseminate the information for, students to get it.
Perfect. And the last question, or thing I should say, give one piece of advice for a new graduate.
For a new graduate, I guess one thing I would tell a new graduate is, and I know this sounds cliche, but especially in our industry, it's extremely relevant. Never stop learning. Technology, like we just talked about media convergence, and how the internet is changing, journalism. There are very few print periodicals that go out, very few print newspapers that are made anymore. The news cycle is no longer a 24-hour news cycle. It's, a 24-second news cycle, if you will. So that being said, in order to stay ahead of your competitors, you've got to be more focused on where the technology is now, where it's going, and positioning yourself to be where you need to be whenever things happen. If you're waiting for the world to come to you, if you're waiting for the answers to come to you, you're going to get left behind. So I guess that's the biggest advice I would give to a new graduate is, just because you got your degree does not mean you need to stop learning. You need to learn even more so now that you're out there.
Well, we thank you for the time and see you in class.
All right.